Good morning, AutoTrader family. How are you guys doing? I hope you guys are having a fantastic morning. It's nice, bright and early. It's before 8 o'clock. So if you are watching this, chances are you got to the office early. And that's not a problem because we're going to tackle all our finalists. We're going to give you some micro reviews on them. So before the boss decides to drag his bum in there at like 9 a.m. or whatever, we're going to run through this video. So come and join us here and we're going to take a look at a little more detail at our finalists. So I'm going to flip you around. Stick with me here. Righto, so we're going to start with our, in no particular order, our first finalist. So let's take a look at the exterior of the Nissan Micra. Nissan Micra is one of the finalists here. I really like the styling of this vehicle. I think this is a beautifully styled vehicle and definitely a radical departure from the old Micra. I really do like these swooping lines, especially here at the rear. So we're going to see two very similar trends here. I really do like this line and the 3D element to this rear tail light. And then you take a look up here in the C-pillar and it has this semi-floating roof effect. Now, if we go next to it, we have the Suzuki Swift and... wait. Who copied who here? Alright, so Nissan Micra, let's take a look around the back of it quickly. Still, rather attractive vehicle. Now, I haven't had a chance to drive all of these vehicles yet, so I can't really comment on how each and every one of them drives. But our review on the Nissan Micra is up on our YouTube channel. And I'll give you an idea, well, I'll tell you how to take a look at it and how to find it just now. All right, let's take a look at this interior. It's very neat, it's very tidy, nice. It's approximately 7 or a 6.5 inch touchscreen there. I do like the two-tone interior. Yes, something like this can get dirty rather quickly, but I think it's nice. It brightens up the cabin and it makes it a little more lively. This is the interior of the Nissan Micra. So, swing you guys around again. If you guys do want to find one of the reviews that we've done on the vehicle, so like the Nissan Micra that is here behind me, go to the AutoTrader site and on the left hand side where you can select the make and model, select Nissan and then choose the model Micra. You're going to see a few listings there for cars for sale, but then scroll all the way down to the bottom and you're going to see all our reviews, all our videos. You're going to see all the information that we've created around the Nissan Micra, and you can do this for any vehicle on the site. If there isn't a review there, well then you're possibly choosing something rather obscure and we haven't reviewed it yet. Let's move on to our next finalist. We of course have 12 finalists this year and the Suzuki Swift is one of them. So here we go, it is the new Suzuki Swift, and remember, these vehicles were vehicles that were new in 2018. Once again, we touched on the rear design there. And we're really looking forward to the Suzuki Swift Sport, which is going to be coming a little later on. Now, I have driven this vehicle, and it is very, very agreeable. It's a rather enjoyable vehicle, and it absolutely sips fuel. It really does sip fuel in a fantastic manner. It is so economical. All right, so we move to the interior, and definitely a lot more dressed up than what the vehicles or the previous generation was. Nice gauge cluster with two individual binnacles here. It's actually very Alfa Romeo, and that's rather nice. And we know the Italians know how to design a vehicle. All right, this one is not fitted with the high-spec touchscreen infotainment system, but still a rather comprehensive radio system nonetheless. And we do still have down here, there we go, USB and auxiliary input along with 12 volts out. So you can still listen to your phone or your iPod if you still use one of those. And of course it is Bluetooth enabled. That one's a little grubby, let's help them clean it. The cars are going to get very dirty today. Bluetooth, and of course there's Bluetooth streaming there. The interior a little darker than the Micra, so a little more somber here, but there is this nice silver detailing down the dashboard. That does elevate it. Then we have a carbon effect trim on the doors as well. Nice little touch. The Suzuki Swift, rather nice. Alright, let's move on to our next one. We're going to shift over to the Mercedes-Benz AClass, and we've got it here in the AMG line. So while all the vehicles are being compared up against their peers, and it generally encompasses an entire model range, so it would be like A-Class or C-Class and not just a very specific model, the manufacturers do have a single model that they'll put forward for testing, the one that they feel best represents the brand. So this one does have the beautiful diamond grille, part of the AMG line, and of course just the single bar through the center here, very large badge up front. It is rather nice looking vehicle. It's rather striking. I do like the angular headlamps, and of course with the AMG line kit on it, it looks really, really good. So let's come around the back here. What really impressed me about this vehicle was the overall stance. So with the AMG line, it's got a very, very, well, almost tuner-like stance. There isn't a very large arch to tire gap. So this gap over here is rather low, and it looks like it's been lowered already, and that's rather nice. Let's just take a quick squiz at the back again. The back a little uninspired in my opinion. I feel that a little more could be done with the back. It's got a bit of an old Kia look to the back, and that's, you know, when I'm spending this sort of money on a Mercedes-Benz, I want it to be a little more wow in all aspects. Let's take a look at the interior, because this is definitely an area that impresses. We hop on board, and it is, well, Mercedes-Benz styling. So we have these beautiful 3D style vents, and these are beautifully designed. Let's take a look at those details. And of course we have beautiful lighting that lights up in all these little crevices here, and you can choose which lighting scheme you would like. Overall the quality feels a lot better than the previous generation A-Class, sorry. It's not a BMW, let's not insult them like that. And of course we have the newer steering wheel. Now I'm not a fan of these, so anybody that had a BlackBerry once upon a time will know what this is. It's a little touchpad. It's not operating there, we would need to turn it on, but that's essentially a touchpad, so you can scroll it in a multitude of directions, and then of course you can just push on it as a button and it will affect something there. Let's see, is it no? Okay, we can go home. And now of course it's not wanting to play the game with us, but not a problem. Alright, so we have this MBUX vibe that's happening here. So digital dash over here, and then of course the user interface over there for the infotainment. And while the execution of this isn't the best, it is a nice touch, especially in this segment. You can actually see where the edges of the screens are, and that's a little bit of a pity. If it was just one solid panel and these just lit up individually, it'd be a lot better. Lovely seats, but once again part of the AMG line kit, and that is an option that you pay for. Now, the guys seem to have been really enjoying the vehicle. They've really been putting it through its paces, so I'm guessing that it's a rather good car to drive. Lawrence has reviewed that. His review on the A-Class is on site. Then we have a very exciting one that the guys loved thrashing around the track, our FK8 Honda Civic Type R. Alright, yes, anybody that knows me properly knows that I'm a JDM fan, and these JDM vehicles, well, and especially the performance vehicles, really tickle my fancy. We take a look, carbon detailing, and on the skirts. Of course, creases out the wazoo. I'm not a massive fan of the styling. I feel it is a little over-styled, but the party piece of this Civic Type R is of course this rather unique 3-pipe tailpiece. We'll help them with that one. Oh, such a stay. Good boy. Alright, let's take a look. The interior, well, it's new Honda and it's rather futuristic. So let's start out with beautiful Type R seats. Yes, it looks like it's been lifted out of a flea market, but this is what the flea market is copying. The flea market copies the Type R. In here, and well, it's spaceship-like. You need to see the 3D effect of all the panels. And there we go. How's that? Now that's a shifter. Nice, beautiful weighted ball knob, manual gearbox, Type R with their plate. Beautiful. Of course, there's your drive settings. Once again, a little more carbon fiber detailing, and the guys really enjoy them. I have had a very brief stint in one of these, and I walked away suitably impressed in both the power, the prowess, and the handling. Very dynamic vehicle. We then move over to the Lexus ES. So here we go. Lexus's new large, mid-size sedan, the ES. And I've never been a big fan of the new design architecture language from Lexus in terms of their headlights. It always just seems a little out of place, and this is very busy. It's unique, but you know, just because it's unique doesn't mean that it works. I'm not a fan. Some people love it, and then of course the they've got a specific name for this, the spindle grille. That's it. The words were eluding me there for a moment. The spindle grille of the Lexus ES. And just take a look here. Stand back a little bit. Coupe-like proportions down the side. I do like the way that the mirror's been styled. So you've got this two-tone piano black on the inside, and chrome detailing there with your indicator, and then the lower section is body colored. But a really aggressive rake to this rear window, giving it coupe-like feel. It is not a fastback though. Of course, a lot of chrome detailing. So we see this large chrome line that runs all the way through the rear tail lights. Once again, 3D style LED elements across the boot lid and around the corner there, and it's echoed by the lower line. And this, of course, all adds the impression of width when you've got these big, long horizontal lines that seem to be completely joined. Yep, it just adds the impression of width. Now, Lexus interiors, love them or hate them. Really, it is. It's a Marmite interior. Either you love it or you hate it. Me, well, I think it's a bit like a Chinese game show or a Japanese game show. It's really fun and exciting, but you have no clue what's going on. And it is. It's beautifully styled, beautifully designed. I'm not a big fan of these touchpads. I find them a little fiddly. You can adjust the sensitivity, but, you know, once again, it's a love or hate affair. The interior quality, though, you can see that this is a premium brand, and it really does feel the part. Let's see if we can just get a bit of lights going here.
At this point, because there was literally a 50%.
Whoa, it's like Star Wars in here.
In the substandard call.
I'm going to turn that one down. Alright, let's give it a... Once again, Star Wars effect ES here on the starter. Very nice, full digital display, but they still give you the bezel. So when I switch this off, you'll see. So they still give you this bezel around here that makes it seem like a traditional clock. Shh, be quiet. Alright, all those buzzers, presumably for the American market to remind them that they're in a car. Well, it is. I mean, it drives like a lounge suite. The guys did say it's not as dynamic around the track as some of the other finalists, but it's not intended to be a track weapon. It's intended to be a long-distance cruiser. All right, then a very exciting one, of course, is the Suzuki Jimny. And this exact vehicle we have a review of, so go onto the AutoTrader website. On the left-hand side, Suzuki, make, model, choose Jimny, scroll down to the bottom, go and take a look at our video there. All right, so a lot of, yes, guys have said that it looks like a baby G-Wagon. And it does, and it really is tiny. I'm going to flip you around here quickly. This is a 4x4. I am all of 5 foot nothing. It's a micro 4x4, folks. All right, flip you around again. There we go. How's that camera effect? That was cool. All right, it's a micro 4x4, mini 4x4. It's, well, largely unchallenged in the segment, but it has got rave reviews, and it's a Suzuki with a waiting list. Yep, folks, you order one now, you're going to be waiting until like August, September for a car, if you're lucky. All right, so big barn door grills up here. You know, big, massive slats, very Jeep-like in that approach, as much as Jeep runs them, a lot of them vertically. But big headlights, LED units. You've got the clamshell bonnet over here. Little details like these are a hark back to the earlier SJ models. Now, they were very clever in the design of this vehicle. And little things that they did was, well, they moved the tail lights from up over here in the rears, they moved them down to the bottom. So what that does is it frees up a little bit of space in the back there. They're no longer encroaching on that load area. So if you open up here, you can see that, well, while it's still rather small, remember, mini SUV, mini 4x4, it is rather small, you can load. You don't have those intrusions over here. So the design is very, very clever. We fold the seats down and you can see that, well, all of a sudden it becomes considerably more practical. And it is nice, hard-wearing stuff. And along the side here, you have these screws that allow you to fit accessories and hooks and the likes. The interior, beautifully retro. We're going to take a slightly closer look at that here now. Little fact, Suzuki went and their designers went and made the rear posts a little more upright, each and every one a little more upright. The reason for doing that is if it's a little more upright, you can load more on the roof, so you can put a roof rack on. They know that people want to take canoes and they want to go off-roading and do that sort of stuff. Well, you need to be able to load something. All right, we're going to leave that there, excuse the buzzing, because we're going to try and get the lights going here. Look at that. A beautiful classic orange typeface. That is something that harks all the way back to the 70s. Those of you that have been driving for a while or have driven older vehicles will know all about that. I love the bezels. I really do like this. It looks like aircraft instrumentation. It's fantastic. Of course, beautiful touchscreen infotainment system. Actually, rather user-friendly. I do like the system. It's probably one of the best things that Suzuki has done in a long time. Now, the one area where they've sort of regressed a little bit, but this was at the demand of the consumer, is they moved away from the electronic diff and drive actuation, so to choose between your low range or high range. They've gone back to a manual lever, and that's because it is just a little more physical, a little more hard and feisty. The rest of the interior is, well, nice and traditional. Beautiful, like grab handle style here. A little bit of storage. Not the most. It is really, really compact, but it is a lovely drive. Of course, the engine has been boosted to a 1.5 litre now, up from the 1.3 of the previous generation. I'm forgetting the figures straight off the bat, but a lovely drive. Really, really a great improvement. Next up, the Hyundai Kona. And this one is a very interesting vehicle, and I really do like these. So we've got a little bit of styling here, and once again, taking a little bit from Jeep here. So you've got your DRLs up top there, and then your main headlights down at the bottom. Where have we seen that before? Oh, that's right, Jeep Cherokee. All right, so let me take a look. We've got a little honeycomb, but a 3D effect sort of honeycomb grill, and that's rather nice. And then, of course, this pseudo vent up top here. We've seen that in the likes of, well, even the Cactus. The Cactus also had a very similar headlight arrangement to that. Nice design to the interior. A little dash of color that just sort of breaks things up. This is a rather enjoyable vehicle to drive. It sort of bridges the gap between the Creta and the Tucson as a bit of a compact SUV, not quite, or a large size crossover. You could consider that. It is a lovely drive, great infotainment system. Let's take a look at the styling at the rear here. Once again, we're seeing this sort of floating roof element being carried across. Hyundai Kona, we do have reviews on the site. Once again, on the left hand side of the autotrader.co.za website, click on make, Hyundai, click on model, Kona, and you can take a look at all our reviews and all our content there. So we've got first drive impressions, we do have reviews. The new Duster looks a lot like the old Duster, but that's because they didn't really have to redesign it. It wasn't an ugly vehicle, not at all. Okay, we do have a lot more detail up front here. These trapezoidal, hexagonal actually, little inserts there with a chrome detailing the large Renault badge. I've definitely made the badges bigger over the last few years. Sort of 3-segment headlight detailing. Move down the side, of course, new wheels. I really do like this vent here. And then, of course, the fact that it sort of sticks out like that. It's a pseudo vent, but it's just a nice, meaty, rugged sort of approach. I know the guys with Rangers are loving that because they all fit in those extensions. Around the back, well, they've gone to these squarer tail lights with the sort of cross element and plus emblem in there, bit of a reverse Swiss flag vibe. No, Swiss flag vibe, actually, Swiss flag vibe. The one bit that I don't like though is that they went back to this chrome garnish on the boot. So the first Duster had this chrome garnish with a black Duster on it, and then the facelift reversed that. So they went with a flat black, and it looked like that. Flat black with a chrome Duster written. So they've gone back to this chrome element, and I don't know, it's a little tacky in my opinion. I haven't driven one of these yet. I do believe it to be very, very good, and I am liking the interior. It's actually the first time that I'm taking a look at the interior, so join me as we take a look at it for the first time. Experience it with me. Oh, Renault, why do you keep on doing that? I'm not a big fan of these audio controls. They sit behind the steering wheel, and when you're seated here, you can't see them. They're behind here. Gooey. You really need to know where each and every knob is. It takes a little while, but you can get used to it. Once again, we're going to have, I think that'll be their media link system that they're running in this one. It's still rather rugged and hard wearing, so yes, rubberized mats and that sort of stuff up here. It is meant to be sort of wiped down. It's a rough and tumble vehicle, but the luxury isn't far off. So this one has full leather seats, or at least imitation, man-made leather, Artico, something of the sorts. Doors nice and rugged. The overall quality seems to feel rather good, and they're still sticking with their rather large keys, so it's like carrying a second cell phone. Another one of those little quirks that I'm not always au fait with. This one is with an automatic gearbox. I do like the armrest, so I've got this armrest here, and armrests aren't for drivers, etc, etc. Do a long trip and tell me that you won't enjoy putting your arm there. Rather nice. Where have they put it? Okay, there we go. Oh, these weird placements for the Frenchies. I do like it. The Duster is a fantastic vehicle, and I think it represents great value for money. Let's take a look at the Volvo XC40. So I'm going to tell you an interesting little story about the Volvo XC40. It seems rather expensive. I've got a full video review on this vehicle, and at the time of doing the video review, I hadn't quite experienced everything in the vehicle. Once again, this is the R design. It's a beautiful blacked out package here. It is really nice. It's a nicely styled vehicle. You want to be able to tell the difference between the 90, 60 and the 40. Well, the 40 doesn't have a window in the back here. That's how you can tell it's the baby. It's the 40 from a distance. Nice large imitation chrome tailpipes. The styling overall is really, really good. Up front you are going to get the Thor hammer element, and that's that element there, and then it splits off. Pew! Alright, fantastic. So, let me tell you a quick story about the Volvo. My co-worker, my partner in crime, my video buddy here at AutoTrader, Lawrence, and I were traveling in the Volvo XC40 once, and we were stopped at a light, traffic light, and while we were stopped there was a turning lane that was open off to our left hand side, and I was stopped there at this light and waiting for it, and I checked up in the mirror and I saw this car barreling down, coming from behind here, and it didn't look like he was going to be able to stop. And I saw that he sort of veered off, and I gathered what he was going to do. He was going to just use the slipway here and blast through the red light. It was a really relatively quiet traffic light, but I still don't agree with breaking the law like that. The thing is, the Volvo sensed that there was a car approaching that was going way too fast behind us, and the seatbelts pre-tensioned both Lawrence and I in the seats and pulled us back into the chair so that our heads were against the headrests, and it set off an audible warning to basically prep us for impact. It did this to minimize whiplash, because if you're sitting like this and your head slightly forward and there's a little bit of a gap here and that car hits you, your head gets thrown back, and that strain on your neck is what gives you whiplash. The Volvo was constantly monitoring our surroundings and trying to keep us safe. And right there I said, great, I can justify this price now. So let's turn around and let's show you the interior. So full digital display dash. Of course, a portrait style, tablet style infotainment system that you can swipe through like this. It is a rather nice system. It takes a little bit of getting used to though. Okay, we've got nothing there. Go away, shoe fly. Okay, there we go. So it takes a little bit of getting used to, but not a terrible system. You've still got a few tactile buttons down here that you can use, including your volume. Lovely sort of Alcantara suede feel and leather. It is really nicely designed. Here's a little bit of a highlight element in this dashboard panel, and of course you can choose your mood lighting as well. Just not a massive fan of the fact that this looks like, well, underfelt. Yeah, it's not a bad feel. It's really soft and nice, but it looks like underfelt. It looks like the inside of the boot. One of those little areas that you sit there and go, why did you guys do that? All right. Next up, another vehicle that I haven't yet driven, but I have driven its sister, the Giulia, and I love the Giulia. I think the Giulia is an absolutely wonderful vehicle. Same underpinnings here, and that means that the chassis is going to be properly sorted. The guys do really love throwing it around, and I think it's a beautifully styled vehicle. For Alfa Romeo to be building an SUV like this, they've managed to carry a lot of their styling elements across that make it feel typically Alfa. So take a look at this sort of classic design of this. Not a clamshell, but it's a, and if you call it a toilet seat, I'm going to smack you. But this sort of half moon sort of vibe to the bonnet. I'm running out of the words here for it to accurately describe it just here on the fly. But I think it is a beautiful design. It feels a little nostalgic. It feels typical Alfa Romeo. But it still feels modern at the same time. I really do like the chrome efforts and details that they've put on the rear tailpipes. Unfortunately, yeah, they're just slightly glorified. There's a real one on the inside. Gooey. My finger in the way. Let's take a look at the interior. Interior largely similar to the Giulia, and a very nice place to be. Sort of an unvarnished wood finish here, very smooth though, but you can feel the grain, and that's lovely. It is nice. Alright, let's hop in here quickly with my dirty feet. And whoever was here sat miles away. But that's great because it gives you guys a bit of a view. Look at these beautiful pedals here. And you can feel they're aluminium. They really are. Okay, you're not going to hear it now. Where's it? Give me something metal to tap it with. No, never mind. That's not going to work. In any case, they are aluminium. Trust me on this one. Start button on the steering wheel. How cool. And then just the overall design. Really nicely designed, clean, elegant, smooth, flowing, swooping lines to the interior. And then, of course, as I was saying, those dual binnacles, we saw it on the Micro, I think it was, that we were talking about, and just with those individual binnacles, a real nice touch. Your speedometer on your tachometer on the left hand side and your speedometer on the right. Alfa Romeo badge here with its raised detailing. It's not glossy, so you can actually feel it, almost like braille. It's a very tactile environment, and it's all part of the sensation, is just the touch and feel. And the overall quality feels very, very good. You do have a light roof lining, and that gives you the impression of a little bit of space, because down here, well, a little bit somber, only broken by a few little satin aluminium touches. All right, let's move it on. Micro reviews this. Thank you guys, if you guys are still watching. We're going to move on to the Porsche Cayenne. I haven't driven the Cayenne, I've driven the current Panamera, and if this is half as good as the Panamera, it's an excellent vehicle. So, slightly neatened up front, but it's around the rear where the biggest design changes have happened, and it is that full-length tail light element, and of course they're splitting it up into the 4 lights, so you see the 4 light pieces there, and this, well, a similar thing happens around front. Walk around there quickly, and you'll see that they've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 elements there, and there's daytime running lights. Those all 4 come on and gives you this sort of little quad beam vibe. The rear styling definitely improved over the old one. Once again, the old Panamera looked like it was a boxer that was stung by a bumblebee, and it sort of started swelling. This one looks like it's designed with a little more purpose. All right, Porsche interiors. Cayenne S is the model that has been nominated here. I am just going to quickly rectify our situation. Pseudo key here. Lovely sound there. Shh, be quiet. Let's adjust this so that we can show you. There we go, the Porsche Cayenne clocks. So, when I switched it off, you may have noticed that we only had a central clock, and then these here on the side, well, you couldn't really see them. Yep, those are full digital displays. And then move over to their infotainment system. Takes a little bit of getting used to, can be a little fiddly at times. A classic Porsche Triton vibe over there. And then we run through the interior here, and these are all touch sensitive. Let's just get that right. Alright, and whoever's coming in after me is going to have to reset it. All touch sensitive, a beautiful sort of glass style panel here. Actually, wait, let's just go with... No, we don't want off-road. We want normal drive. There we go, normal drive. Slight change from the exhaust. Normal, okay. Really is a nice high quality interior. It really feels fantastic. It's the small little attention to detail. Small things, just the lighting around there. It sets it apart, it really does. You can feel that you're in something special. Design, architecture, design language wise, not a massive fan. The vertical grills with the horizontal bars, a little offset, a slightly smoother, slightly flowing dashboard would, you know, would please me a little more. The door handle treatment seems a little strange, seems a little bit out of place. It works, but it just seems like it could have been molded a little more flowing. I like a slightly more flowing interior. This one is a little more sharp and edgy. And when you take a look at the exterior of the vehicle with all its beautiful flowing lines, you sit there and you want it to be sort of smooth and flowing on the interior, and this one doesn't quite feel that way. So also the panels at the back there, and a sport mode selector. All right, once again, strange key, because, well, you've got this key over here. Here's your Porsche Cayenne key, and you still twist that one to switch the vehicle on and off. Okie dokes. All right, that's the Porsche Cayenne. Cayenne S, to be more specific. Then we move over Mitsubishi Pajero Sport. I think it's a rather good looking vehicle. It is, yes it is, it's a little left field. I know, maybe I'm just weird like that. But the chrome detail and the chrome elements there in the bumper, really nice. It carries that sort of Lexus style spindle grille there, but it also doesn't. It feels, and it comes across as rather hardy, rugged, go anywhere, do anything. The skirt detailing here, and just the way that it's been carved and shaped out, you know, recess here for your foot, I really like that. I think that's great. Around the back end, not so much. the wheels seem a little small in these arches, and this big line that swoops up here in the CD pillar, yeah, that's a little off, but nothing that you can't live with. The rear tail lights, yes, admittedly, looks a little bit like a Prius. I'm not gonna argue there. Prius also has these tail lights with rather sharp edges that drop down there. But the Mitsubishi Pajero Sport is doing exceedingly well, especially in the off-road segments. So this could be a bit of a dark horse. Could it be a year for Mitsubishi? We take a look at the interior, and this is still just very Pajero Sport steering wheel. It really feels good, and it's familiar, and familiar is nice. But the rest of the interior is rather new and modern. And the leather feels so sumptuous. I love the way that leather creases like this. Not all the time, sometimes it can point to a bad fit, but this just feels sumptuous and luxurious. And it really is. This is probably one of the most comfortable seats that I've been in. Jeepers, I don't know that I'm actually going to get out of here. I think I'm just going to conclude this video from here, because I really do like these seats. Infotainment system, climate control, nothing over the top, nothing too complicated, simple, clean, elegant, but beautifully designed. So beautiful swooping elements here, nicely integrated into the door line and the door handle. That is rather nice. Largely traditional for the most part, but when you compare this up against its peers, you realize, well, yeah, you're just not paying for all the faff and all the digital extras, all the stuff that can go wrong. So those, I believe, are our finalists. The jurors are out here. I tried to get to them before they get to the vehicles, before the jurors got to the vehicles. They're going to be going out and testing them in real world conditions. So what they're going to be doing is they're going to be taking it out on a long road, those that are geared for 4x4, and that will go on a gravel road to see how they handle a slightly faster 4x4 stuff. They're going to sit with it in traffic, and they're just going to see what it feels like on real roads. All of these jurors have driven these vehicles before, and they have tested them for extended periods of time. They're just getting a refresher here, and they're refreshing them all at the same time. And remember, these vehicles are going up against their peers in the market, not up against one another necessarily. So I want to thank you very much. This has been a very long video, and if you guys are still watching, thank you so much. Join us a little later on. We're going to bring you another live video here from the final day of the AutoTrader Car of the Year 2019. Bye bye, guys.